The opinions expressed by the guests on this podcast are not necessarily those of the hosts or the producers of this show.
It's your girl, Renee Graziano, and welcome back to another episode of the Crisis Queen. Today we have my fabulous and very sober friend, Farrah Abraham. I absolutely love you, and thank you for joining.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Renee. And look where we are today. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Likewise. I mean, from where we were to today, it's been a long ride, but you know, let's jump into it and start back where we really don't want to, but we have to.
Love it.
Well, for you, your start was actually a beautiful thing because your daughter was born. So let's go back to 16 and pregnant.
Yes.
That's a hell of a statement. 16 and pregnant. Forget the show for a minute. Tell me how you felt as a 16-year-old girl pregnant. Tell me.
So as a 16-year-old girl and pregnant in my given situation, I felt like I could never live up to what my mom or my dad provided for me. I felt like I was very much a letdown. And that was also because I grew up hearing, you know, like my mom would never talk to me if I got like unplanned pregnancy. She had a lot of negative things to say about a lot of girls that would happen to in my community. I really just didn't feel like I would be supported in this unexpected event of being unplanned, like 16 and pregnant, unplanned pregnancy. So that day that I learned this, I was just I also was very upset at our birth control system in our society. And I felt angry, upset, disappointed in birth control that was given to us as teenagers. So it was like, is it me, or is it systemically what's in society that has failed me? But I'm getting the brunt. I will have to deal with the brunt of this situation. So it was a lot at that age.
That's a crazy thing to be thinking, like the birth control system failed me. I wouldn't even have the mental capacity, nor did I have the maturity to think that, you know, at 16. And I've experienced my own at 16. I just didn't follow through. So go ahead. So what was it like to tell your parents?
Okay, so to tell my mom, after I was pretty irate, like a circus at Planned Parenthood that failed me.
Right.
But they had the audacity to ask me for donations and handouts after their birth control didn't work. And I've learned from my story and sharing it with millions of people that a lot of women, their birth control just never works. Wow. And then you have to go to Plan Bs, you have to go to abortion, right? So when preventative is not good enough, then there's all these other things that my girlfriends, everybody else has to deal with. So I was very upset. I yelled. This poor woman had to deal with me being very irate, an irate, pregnant 16-year-old.
And I'm not Farrah irate, so I could only imagine.
And I was hurt. I was sad. I was crying. And then I just said, after I got my stuff together, I said, so what can I even do? Like, what can I even do to fix this mess when all this hasn't worked out for me? What can I do? And so at the time it was a Plan B, which now girls can just literally walk right in to a CVS or anywhere, and you can just go pop a Plan B right off the shelf.
Right.
You don't have to ask for permission, mom, to sign off or anything. But
right.
That's what 16 and pregnant and teen mom can do for prevention, contraception prevention.
Correct.
So I'm super excited about that. But I had to go take a Plan B form to my mom at our house and ask her to sign it off. And I only had 2 days to get this thing signed, or they would not let me have a Plan B. So I had my girlfriend who was not a part of my regular girl group. She was just she was just an awesome friend outside of popularity. She was just an awesome friend. So she was with me at Planned Parenthood. She came with me to my house. She stood and waited an hour with me in my mom's office as my mom is on a conference call and busy with her life. And I was so fearful rather than supported by my mom is kind of what you're hearing.
Right.
So I said, here's this paper. Once I got my opportunity, here's this paper. I was on birth control. It didn't work, but the solution is if you sign off on this, I only have 2 days, then I can get the plan B and it all goes away. And I'm doing my best. Can you please sign off? And so my mom has had her own life before me and her own traumas, but she also had 7 miscarriages before she had me.
Oh, wow.
And my mom felt very strongly that I was asking her to kill a living thing, which she was very right.
Correct.
I was obviously, a circus one moment, desperate another moment, fearful in another moment going through this with no direction. And so even though I presented the solution that was so easy because of all the shame, rejection, or blame that I was feeling on myself, my mom just was crying and was like, I'm not signing this. You're not going to put me in your situation and have me kill something.
Right.
And so I said, okay, because I'm a teenager just trying to figure out what the hell this world means.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. Right, and you're 16 and life is not even really fully beginning.
Yeah, it's not even beginning. So my girlfriend left. I said, thank you so much for standing by my side. That meant the world for me because my baby daddy's father and I were actually broken up at this time. He was not picking up his phone, which was also just sad to me there. And I didn't get a call back from him until 2 days later. Wow. And by that point, my mom and my dad and all of us just kind of, my dad was he saw how conflicted I was with what I was dealing with and saw me crying all day and just really sitting in the unknown and my mom having her strong feelings, my dad having his feelings about it. And so by that point, when Sophia's dad reached out, it was kind of my parents were like, we are going to be here to help you through this. You can no longer talk to your baby daddy's, the father.
Right.
And there was also some legal issues that were going on between my dad and the baby daddy's, so basically my daughter's father's mom.
Okay.
So she was pressing charges on my dad. And that's kind of initially why we were broken up.
Right.
And because of this legal dynamic and then finding out you're pregnant, nothing was getting better anytime soon. And my parents were really, who I lived with. Right. And even though Sophia's dad, my boyfriend at the time, even though he meant well, he wanted me to just run off to his dad's house in a different state with him and leave my family and everything behind.
Right.
And I was just I even gave his engagement ring back before I was pregnant. And I said, look, I'm just not ready for any of this. And I feel like the people around me growing up were so they were having engagement rings. I think that's also what pressured him to do it. They were getting pregnant, married, moving in together. I felt like I was the late bloomer in everyone. And that's really what was shocking to everyone who ended up seeing 16 and pregnant, who I grew up with. Right. They were like, Farrah they were shocked I was even pregnant. They were like, whoa, Farrah was late bloomer. She was not making out. She was not doing stuff. Right. Well, and then all of a sudden.
That's super interesting for the later on, for how the turn of events. But I'm just curious. So you were getting engaged. You were 16. What were you doing in an engagement ring? That's what they did in the old days. You know what I mean? We weren't getting engaged. I mean, in all honesty, 15, 16-year-old kid, your children. We're children at that age. We don't even know
Yeah.
better to make a life-changing decision like get married and then be pregnant has got to be
Yeah.
traumatizing within itself, and then not being with the boy anymore.
Yeah. And so looking back now, my daughter is 15. Sophia is 15 today. And when you're
Wow.
saying, hey, we were kids.
Yep.
We didn't even know life. And I was the only one who was saying, hey, I am too young for this. Like, I cannot process this.
Right.
And now I see if my daughter Sophia right now at 15 were to be running around with 21-year-olds on party buses like I was, getting engaged, going to multiple proms, like, I looked at, like, I had no boundaries. I had no guide. I had no tour. I was running wild as a 14, 15, 16-year-old.
Wow.
And I look at my daughter today and I'm like, my daughter is so wise. She is so smart. She is not me. She has a boyfriend in a whole other state. They're homeschooled. They play games. There's no crazy stuff going on that I ever
Right.
have to worry about. And she knows her values. She knows her worth. And
Amen.
I was still lost. I was still very lost at that
Right.
age.
So you're pregnant now. Where did the TV show come in? Like, so you're pregnant. You're 16. You have all this crazy drama. You're not with the boyfriend anymore. Your mom.
Yeah.
So your mom and your dad initially set out to be 100% supportive.
Yeah, that's what they said. They
Okay.
made that claim in the stand, and I think it was because of the legal separation. I could not talk to Sophia's dad until after this court hearing and appearance, and everyone went through the due diligence there.
Right.
And so, what was the question? Sorry.
So I'm saying, how did the TV show enter your life?
Oh,
Like, you have all
yeah.
of this, and because we're only pregnant for like 9 months, so in a very
Yeah.
short
How did
period
I fit?
of time you got
How did
pregnant.
I fit?
That's
All of it in 9 months. How did
And
I
then-
get there?
And then you're faced with stardom. So like,
Yeah.
you're 16, pregnant, fighting with the whole family, and now you're famous
So yeah, this is
in
crazy.
9 months.
So when I think it was so nuts. So when I think back, like I had been like, it's like, a PA, a story PA is talking to me over like a couple months. And then they know like I can no longer talk to the baby daddy. And that's when they started coming out
Okay.
and filming. And then now they're showing up at my high school. People are like, who's pregnant? Like, who's the, like, the whole camera crew had to lie to everyone at all times because I myself didn't tell anyone that I was pregnant yet.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so I didn't even, like, look, I think the girl who I was then, who I'm definitely not today,
Right.
the girl who I was then was so grateful that her mom and dad would stand by her side, also getting through this legal problem that was stressing on their marriage and them personally. Because my dad was facing jail time because of it. Basically, he hit Derek. Derek snuck in the house. My dad didn't know what was going on and basically, hit him in his face, which gave him a bruise. And then his mom wanted to press charges. So there's that.
Right.
And I think the girl who just wanted to people please and be grateful for her mom and dad's support was like, I am not involving thousands of kids from my high school. No one is really there for me or my family. And this
Right.
is like an internal situation that we're going through. And I think when cameras started showing up, people started getting involved. People see I'm 16 and pregnant, like Derek calling me and being very upset. And he's like, people are telling me that you're pregnant. Are you? And I had some like just very vicious calls from him before he died. He passed away.
Oh, I'm
And-
sorry.
Yes. And it's totally fine. And thank God for the 12-step principles. But he was very upset that I would not sit down and talk to him about that. Given, I did tell you I was at Planned Parenthood. He was the first person I called,
Right.
but did not call me back
Correct.
for days.
Right.
And so I said to myself, I don't want the person who I love so much, who I want the world for, and I just can't be with him right now. It's
Right.
so unhealthy. It is very toxic, clearly. And I'm also court ordered to not talk to him.
Right.
And so he kept calling and getting more upset about me not just directly telling him. And I always would say, hey, this is not the proper time or place. We will have time later to talk about this. And I also don't like how you're calling me and you're very upset. It's not the proper time. And that's literally how I left it. It was never vindictive. It wasn't vicious. It wasn't, not that I'll never tell someone.
Right.
It was just like, this is clearly not the right time. And he also knew that.
Right. And it's also upsetting you, which upsets the child. So it was it was mentally unhealthy and physically unhealthy.
Yeah, I had to like bring it down, and my dad always said to me, Farrah, you need to take care of you and your child and what's best for you and your child right now. He goes, a guy can wait to talk to. He can wait to, like, you know, because I would struggle with that. I would struggle with not talking to him. And I would have so many issues. I would like so many issues around that. And then my dad was just like, you know, that it was like, so he tried to sneak in again, mind you, just so you know.
Oh, Jesus.
Derek tried to sneak in the house again, and he did. And so this time it was knives. He brought a knife in the house, and it was October. So I think I was 6 months pregnant. I was definitely showing.
Wow.
And that's the last time like we did anything or whatever. And it was for a moment because my dad shot up there with a fucking knife. He had a knife. I just called the police. I was not dealing with it.
Right.
And then the police were like, okay, so you guys are breaking your no contact order during this process. And it's like, someone's going to be going to jail today. And then they took my dad to jail. And it was just like, and my mom got even more irate with me. And then the weirder thing happened. I was going to class one day and someone stole my phone, all of my stuff at school. And I feel like that was a universal sign to like, the universe was just saying, if you can't stop, I will stop you from talking to him.
Right.
And so from that point on, when things just got worse from him sneaking in and trying to get my attention, you know, like, and even in person, I literally would not keep going. And I just said, we really need to get through what we're going through here. This is too much for my parents. This is too much for me. And I'm like, you should go live with your dad and do the right thing that's best for you. He was living with a very toxic mom, obviously, who was suing my dad.
Obviously.
And it was just, it was bad.
I mean, in defense of your father, because I have a father that any man would have came into my house, snuck into my house, they would have got their legs broken, their jaw, and I probably wouldn't have been in the best of health neither. So, I mean, in defense of your father, that's how you protect your child. I'm sorry, you know, I disagree with anybody. You're a girl, and a father's right is to protect his daughter. My opinion, but hey, you know. Yeah. Okay, so now at this point, he moves away. You're pregnant.
He never moves away. So he never moves away, Renee. He never does.
Okay.
And sometimes still to this day, his dad's side of the family blames me for him not moving away. Because he claimed he was staying there for me. He was waiting to go through the court process. He was waiting, and he wanted to be there for me. Keep in mind, there was no more contact. Someone stole my phone. My parents were never going to let me talk to him again.
Right.
His friends actually kept reaching out through MySpace at the time.
Right.
And shortly, you know, I would tell my dad every time someone reached out, I was like, you know, someone's trying to reach out for Derek. You know, we're still waiting on this court thing. I'm going to just wait. And then right there around Christmas, a couple days after Christmas, which I'm feeling all sorts of feelings. It's the first Christmas people are buying gifts, not for me. It's for a child that I don't know. And you really learn to humble yourself, to say it's not about me anymore. And you're like, whoa, I have a very big ego. that's when you realize you're a little bit out of line. So
Right.
I had a different Christmas. And then 3 days later, her dad passed away in a car accident with one of our other friends in high school. And the one who survived, I did get to talk to after, but he was not in the right state of mind to talk to
Right.
me or be mature. And it
Right.
was very sad for me to see my high school peers act very disrespectful towards someone's death and loss when you're expecting a baby from someone. So
Wow.
the people who I grew up around who should be able to communicate with me were very screwed up, very immature. And I knew from that point on, I needed to move on with
Okay.
life in general.
So, wow, in 9 months, you've gotten pregnant. You're now on television. Your father went to jail, have a court case, and now you lose your child's father, Sophia's dad. So I'm assuming his family blames you for his death, or no?
I feel like to some degree, one half is like, oh, he would have came to live with me if you weren't there, but I can't even blame myself for that because I only said, I want you to go live with your dad. Like communication was cut by the universe. My phone got stolen.
Right. Well, you can't blame yourself at all, Farrah, because you had nothing to do with the car accident. So you are not
Yeah, I had nothing to
responsible
do.
for anything to do with his death. And I say that because you weren't in the car. You're not responsible. You know what I mean? He was
Yes.
his family let him stay, so therefore he stayed. So I hope that's something that you have never blamed yourself for, because I know in recovery that guilt and shame that we carry could be, detrimental to
Yes.
our survival.
Yeah, and it was. So in full transparency, Renee, I had his toxic mother. By the way, no one invited me to his visitation. So he died. No one invited me to his visitation. No one kept in contact with me. Two of my girlfriends who were there with me through everything with him,
Right.
like, Farrah, we are picking your ass up and we are going to stand right next to you because
Right.
you need this closure. And if your mom doesn't take you, if your dad doesn't, they were like, we're coming and we're getting you. So Brianna and Katie came to get me, and they also were the first ones who called me to tell me that he died.
Okay.
So they came, they picked me up, and literally I was in such a funk, such a disarray, such a disbelief, like could not believe my life was like this, that I didn't even know the visitation was walkable. It was right down my street.
Right.
And it was just because I was so screwed up in my mind about loss, about death. And I never experienced it like this before. I literally thought this will all go away if I don't pay attention to it. But I also didn't have my parents did not want to acknowledge that he died. My mom certainly didn't want to acknowledge that he died.
Right.
Nobody wanted to take me to his visitation. I think the camera crew and those things were like, well, if we can't film it, you don't need to go, which
Right.
pissed me
Of
off.
course.
And so I have to say, like, when you're that young and you see all these different kinds of things, real world, high school, personal, non-related, you see how everybody acts around a death, you just start making up the rules to your life. And that's really what I
Absolutely.
started doing. I think sometimes I just stayed a part of the show just to drag them because I was very spiteful. I was very upset. And I was like, how dare you treat someone like this who I loved? And it was really sad. So I ended up showing up with Katie and Brianna to the visitation. And that taught me something else. I walk in and I'm stopped by his crazy older sister who always tried to beat me up and always tried to get after me. And I'm, huge. I'm hugely pregnant.
Right.
And she's like, is that Derek's baby? Is this?
Oh,
And she just kept asking. She just kept asking and asking. And um, I just said, hey, let's just keep walking because I don't have time for this anymore. And she was like, you can't go in there, da 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 da. I just kept walking. I don't have time for all the drama anymore, all the
right,
toxicity anymore. I was done with it. Like, Derek's dead. I'm done with all this shit that
right,
doesn't count anymore.
right.
And so we go all the way in. We walk straight to the front. And I do go up there because Kitty's like, I want you to go up there. And so I do go up there and I'm looking at him. Luckily, he had an open casket.
Okay, God
And
bless. Okay.
I could just, it was like, Renee, I don't think I could be the person I am today if I didn't go and if I didn't see him dead there. I feel like my mind, sorry to get all emotional.
No, it's
I
okay,
feel
sweetheart.
like my mind would have been playing games on me like it did for years anyways, that
Yes.
he's just coming back. And
Yeah,
so
because
I
sometimes
always,
we like to believe that they're still here. I do that with I did that with my dad until this time that I got really, really sober. I'd just be like,
yeah,
oh, he's in jail. In my mind, I had to keep him somewhere instead of thinking that he was dead.
yes. And I very much resonate with that. And so I always thank the girls for taking me to the visitation. I got to just be authentically like, this is it. And this
Right.
is sadly the last time. So
Well, I'm sorry that you
yeah. So
you
what?
you lost him, but you know what, Farrah, in looking back and sitting on the opposite end, we know God has a master plan, and your life moved in that direction so you could now move in another direction, because it would have only
Yes.
been family turmoil forever, and I don't wish anybody death. That's not what I'm
No.
saying, but lo and
Yes.
behold, you get through that. You're this big TV star at 16. You're having a baby. And
Yes.
is this when your mother became, did your mother start to become abusive? Was she verbally abusive at some point during, was it during the
So
or afterwards?
it was probably afterwards.
Okay.
So I leave the visitation. By the way, I was removed at the visitation. The
Okay.
older
Ooh.
sister threw a fit, wanted me removed from there. She had all of her friends who I went to high school with.
Right.
All of her friends stand up in front of his casket and
And
block
block it.
him from sight of mine. So then Katie and Brianna are like, you guys are all ridiculous. They said words. I was just done with them all.
Right.
And so I leave, and then I see my mom again, just is not talking about it. She was just like, great, someone's out of our life. That's how she looked at it.
Wow.
And that was just really hard. I think, like, for any woman out there, even if you're not 16 and pregnant, even if you just had a one night stand and you ended up having someone's baby and they unfortunately died, if someone does not kind of like respect the person who you are, like,
Attached to
you
it.
love them, yeah, attached to somehow, I think, like, you just start not being able to love or care or have respect for them, to be honest.
Yeah,
So
you lose, and you also lose yourself. So what I'm hearing you say is trauma. That's all I hear is trauma, because from your father being in trouble, you being pregnant, television is trauma. We know, you and I know that there's a lot of trauma that comes with television, but now you have the loss of your daughter's father, and you're 16 years old. That is
yeah,
so, like, it's now your story makes way more sense to me, because we really never spoke on this personal level, but now knowing, I think you just kind of lashed out, like, stepping into the next part of your life where, having now a relationship with your mother where she's becoming verbally abusive, you're just getting beat up. That's what it seems like. There might not be any physical abuse, but there's a lot of mental abuse going on.
yeah.
And you're having a baby.
Yeah. So one of the times that we catch physical abuse, just the one-off time on the TV show,
Right.
because there was physical abuse. My
Okay.
mom is undiagnosed. Yeah, my mom is undiagnosed bipolar. So
Okay.
many women, many men who are kids of moms like mine, like at the trauma centers, recovery centers, you'll all
Right.
hear everybody say the same thing. For once in my life, when I was at a recovery trauma center, I had people saying stories just
Right.
like I witnessed growing up. And I was like, my whole life has brought me here to this recovery center. I
Right.
needed
And I'm
this.
not alone. And I'm not
And
alone.
yeah. So one of the times I was all over the news was she hit me in the car talking about getting a car so I could drive myself as a mom because she was so tired of driving me everywhere, but then
Right.
got in my way. Getting a car.
That's a little narcissist in there. Throw a little narcissism in there. Let me control you.
Yeah. So it was a lot of control. It was a lot of undiagnosed bipolar disorder. And I didn't, by the way, to everyone, in all fairness, I was not educated. Maybe a lot of public school children are not educated on mental health, disabilities, and what that looks like and what that is. So I realized, I'm raising my hand and being honest right now.
Sure.
I got educated. I realized about mental health disorders and got diagnosed myself when I was 27 years old. After I got fired from 16 and Pregnant, I finally had a second, thanks to a fan on my live saying, oh my God, her ADHD is running loose. Look at her counter. And at first I was like, ooh, that kind of bothers me because my counter is a mess and I don't want it to be a mess. And that's connected to a disability like ADHD. What is that? So
Right.
I just want to say, guys, I found out later in life, 27, my disability. And since then, I continued a journey, even with recovery centers, that helped me learn that you could do like direct neurofeedback, scan your brain, magnets, all sorts of great stuff. And then again, hearing other people talk about their family traumas, that's when I realized, oh my God, that intimidation by my family members growing up, they all had bipolar disorder.
Well, I'm
And so,
ADD and dyslexic, so I didn't find out. Well, we knew I was dyslexic as a child, but I didn't know until I was in my 40s about ADHD and ADD. I didn't know. So that can be undiagnosed for years. So now I want to just, catch everybody up. So it's pregnant, loss of your daughter's father, your mother's undiagnosed bipolar, your father's situation. Now you're 27, you said, so that's 9 years you're on television. No, not 16,
is it
11. 11, did I count wrong? If you were 16 when you
maybe
started,
10?
then you were 27 and still on television, right?
Yeah, so we did our 10-year anniversary of the show, and then it was kind of like, okay, Farrah's fired, and then they would bring me back a couple times here and there, so that's just how that went.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen up, because I've got a secret that is about to change your wardrobe game forever. Picture this. The air is getting crisp, the leaves are turning, and you're sitting back with your pumpkin spice latte. But you know what really makes this time of the year fabulous? The fashion. And let me tell you, Quince is bringing it in a big way this season. I just got my hands on a Quince boyfriend cardigan in the most gorgeous shade of brown. And let me tell you, this sweater is everything. Next level cozy with a perfect mix of casual chic. It drapes beautifully and feels luxurious in every way. The soft, breathable fabric and rich brown tone make you feel like you're straight out of a fall photo shoot. Seriously, 10 out of 10, total fall must-have. Now, Quince isn't just about looking good. They're about feeling fabulous without breaking the bank. We're talking Mongolian cashmere sweaters starting at just $50. Yes, you heard me right. And it doesn't have to stop there. They've got everything from sleek leather jackets to soft cotton cardigans and even the softest denim. And here's the kicker. You're saving up to 80% compared to those big name luxurious brands we all love. How? Quince cuts out the middleman and partners directly with the best factories. That means top quality fabrics and luxury finishes, but without the luxury price tag. And let's not forget, They only work with factories that follow safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, so you can feel good about looking this great. Get cozy in Quince's high-quality wardrobe essentials. Go to quince.com/crisis, CRYSIS, for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/crisis to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/crisis.
When did you make this decision in your life that you wanted to indulge in a like adult, or I don't know if that was a decision you made consciously or you got coerced into, and I don't know the extent and how true the whole porn, and I hate even talking about it because I don't know you that way. You've always been, I never looked into somebody's life that deeply before doing this. I know you as Farrah. You've always been my friend, but now we're putting things on the table and we're talking about personal situations. So where did that come in? Like, do you believe that it happened because you were lost? Like, do you even know?
So when we're talking about adult entertainment, adult things beyond the show, other TV shows that I did. So at this time in my life, and I had to do, just so everyone knows, I can openly talk about that. And I've done, so I did couples therapy, and I also got sex trauma therapy for that.
Right.
So the girl that it happened to, the Farrah, that this adult entertainment incident happened to, she did not know. I didn't know. The girl at that time did not know that she was being coerced, manipulated by a female manager who worked in mainstream entertainment, was booking celebrities on shows. She was actually a failed porn star that I did not know about until I had to look into this. She was trying to hold on to dear life to make something of herself because now she's a failed porn star. She was a mom to another daughter, and she was like, oh my gosh, well, you can be my daughter. So she very much knew and studied how horrible my relationship was with my mom, and started basically grooming me to think like she could be kind of like that mom who helps her in entertainment. Your mom's not helping you, with your stardom and all of these things. Come to LA, come be around my friends. And, then there's like deceiving, there's lies, there's male porn stars involved. There's a lot of other things because she knows this person lost the love of her life. She's on medication. She's on pills. She's depressed. I was diagnosed chronic anxiety and depressive disorder, but it was ADHD.
Right.
On top of the
I had depressive disorder as mine too. So now you were on, what kind of medication were you on while this was all happening?
So I don't know. The medication that I was on, I can't remember what it was. It's been so long. But the medication, so basically this is how bad it got, so you understand.
Okay.
I was getting kicked out of my college classes because I had uncontrollable crying. I was also at this very bad time in my life. I had to go to state babysitters directed by Child Protective Services. Oh, and again, I was in a massive legal issue. And I also got kicked out of my home because my mom attacked me with my daughter in my arms.
Oh, no.
And so, so when the police came so I called the police. I was bleeding everywhere. I called the police. Sorry, Renee, for this all. So basically, Renee, what happened is someone saw Farrah going through a massive hard time in her life and was saying, hey, I could be a better mom to you. Come out to LA, whatever. You're not even acting normal. Like, we should get you out and socialize you. And basically, like, it was not the time.
Right.
I was trying to get surgeries to even feel more feminine and better of myself. I had face dysmorphia at the time. I was I was doing all sorts of therapy. I was getting kicked out of class. I couldn't control my crying. So and I was also on suicide watch. And so my doctor, my therapist, she put me on like just high doses of antidepressants. And, we would, I would have to go see her every other day or talk to her every other day on the phone. And so that was really, and so, yeah, that
So
amazing
you were
therapist.
vulnerable, and I asked about the medication because I was wondering if Xanax ever played a part in.
It wasn't Xanax.
Okay.
I was scared to do Xanax, but I will say this, ladies and gentlemen. Now that I've gone into a recovery center, and now I can actually laugh. I can actually laugh about some really screwed up times I've been through. I didn't know how much medication would affect your sexual thought processing, your risk management of, hey, that's risky, hey, that's not. And so a lot of the times now in my female support groups, I do always ask, like, hey, what medication were you on? Because I know that can make us act weird and
That's
act a
why
little
I
out
asked
of normal.
you.
Yeah. So I love that Renee has that education.
Yep.
But to the commoner and the common eye, everybody's like, oh my God, she did that. No, it's like, you guys have no idea. Like, I couldn't manage my thoughts, my emotions. I had criminal issues. I was like, my mom, like me, sadness. It was a lot. It was
Inhibitions
a lot.
run wild with medication. And I'm saying this to you because the Xanax, to me, it was like, I love everybody. So you look at situations, like you just said, you walk into risk management, you're woo, it's gone. You have no, it's so messed up that people don't know that, but you don't even, sometimes you don't know the choices that you're making when you think you know the choices that you're making.
Exactly. And so, like, my sex trauma therapist, Dr.
Right.
Jen, who we saw on Couples Therapy, again, this was recorded for people to watch. She literally said, like, Farrah, that's almost like a form of rape. She's like, Farrah, I need you to, she was like, I need you to get serious. Cause she's like, what medication are you on? Like, I need you to, like, let yourself feel these feelings, but also think, like, that's not okay for someone to do when they know you're on medications, they know you're not feeling it, they know you're going through legal problems, they know you're kicked out of your house. Like, that is someone who is preying on you.
Yes,
and I think for the first time, to have someone who's dealing with celebrities, who's dealing with all these people, medications and everything, to just break it down to common knowledge of, that's predatory, that's preying, that's like rapey behaviors.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first time, because my parents, they didn't even believe in me going to therapy. It's like they wanted Farrah to be down as down could get.
Yeah.
And I think, I was fortunate that I got sex trauma therapy at the time. So I'm happy for that.
So I'm going to say the adult entertainment industry was not for Farrah. And
not for me.
No, not at all. And now listening to more of the backstory, which people don't know. I mean, unless everyone's tuned in and listened, you sharing such very sharing so honestly about being groomed. That is a scare. With everything going on in the news right now with certain celebrities, the grooming process, people don't know they're being groomed. And I was dating someone at the time that told me I needed to behave a certain way and this, that, and told a friend of mine, she needs to be groomed. I ain't a fucking dog. You're not grooming me. So, there are people that play on a time of weakness, the vulnerability, and the fact, money issues, single mom, out there, a star. Why wouldn't you want to think to make money off the person? Let's put them in the adult entertainment because they're not thinking clearly.
Exactly. And, I wish the production that I worked for had those skills to bring to the conversation. But as we saw, the production who basically watches and documents my life couldn't get me to a recovery center or a trauma center. I had to fight to be on other shows to get mental help. I had to fight for everything that I had. And I was just always restricted, confined, blamed, shame, rejected. Like, we're firing you. Like, it's like they're watching this whole thing go down. and
you
no
know,
help.
the industry likes to, you know, both you and I have, and I hate to call us this, but this is the term. We've been great train wrecks for television. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
God bless you that you're in the position you're in today, and I am. And it's
Yeah.
because you fought the way that you did, and I fight the way that I do. But it's also
That's right.
September, so it's Suicide Prevention Month, and I want to ask you. I want to bring it back. You mentioned suicide, and
Yes.
that's a very scary place. Never, wa- I've never wanted to kill myself. No, I shouldn't say it like that. I never actually went through with anything. The thought it's been a fleeting thought. I would be better if I was gone. Take me through what the suicidal watch for you was like, because that's very important. We address that.
Yeah, I think that is super important. First of all, I never thought I'd be the person who would be on suicide watch. So I know everybody loves to act like they're happy, they're good, they can work through their emotions and all that great stuff. But I remember it being around, I would always be kind of around suicide watch around Christmas. And it was because I still didn't know what to do with the loss. I wasn't getting the help that I needed. I was undiagnosed still again.
Right.
And I was just put on medications. I wasn't shown tools. I wasn't shown like a challenging belief worksheet. So I want to just say it like this.
Go ahead.
Suicide watch for me when I was young and this initially happened to me was like a horrific event that I needed to stop. And it was like crossing the street, I feel like killing myself. It was like taking a shower, I feel like killing myself.
I'm sorry.
It was like I see my daughter playing and she's so cute. I don't deserve to be here. I should go kill myself. And so those were like, it's so sad for me to even say today because it's like, thank God I found a way to get through those suicidal thoughts. Thank God I had a therapist who was like, you're calling me. We're just already making these appointments. She's like, when you get kicked out of class because you're crying, it's like, I really feel like society also shouldn't be kicking people out because they're crying and then they want to go kill themselves because they can't get through class.
Right.
And so it was a lot of those things, Renee. It was really just like, I want to kill myself because I'm happy. I want to kill myself just because it was just so. But you know what, guys? It's like now that I have gone through the trauma program,
right,
and actually at the trauma center, I understand like everyone sees me like, you know, getting viciously attacked, being raped now, you know, the things I'm going through today.
right.
But I want to say something like when I was at a recovery center that I should have been at when I was 16.
Hello.
And at 17, after I lost Sophia's dad, I should have had all the people who sent me to the trauma center this time. I should have had them immediately send me to a trauma recovery center then. Because what I learned in there was invaluable. Reading the books about loss, going through challenge your belief systems, doing your relationship inventory, feeling abandonment, knowing how to deal with abandonment. When you lose the love of your life that you think you're going to have a whole life with, and then you're struggling to provide for another person and yourself, you're going through extreme abandonment issues. And then not having like a production do the right things for you and help support you, abandonment. Your mom not being there for you, abandonment. Your dad and your mom now divorcing, he moves away. He's not even really supportive there, abandonment. And so what I learned when I was practically 30 that I needed at 17 was I need to go process my beliefs, the lies I tell myself. I used to say because the world, why did I feel suicidal, guys? And I hope everybody who is feeling suicidal hears this. Why did I feel suicidal? And I finally broke the chain when I was in my trauma recovery center. I used to tell myself, say out loud your darkest beliefs that you think of yourself and why you want to go kill yourself. You know what it used to be, and I finally got freedom from it? I used to say to myself at 17 when I was suicidal, I can never be a great mom like I had. I I'm not deserving of relationships. And so, it's so sad for you to say that, but that was my real belief.
But
I used to believe that I
our
wasn't.
truth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hearing you say this is so
Yeah.
emotional for me because I've never really like in treatment, I've never spoke with a friend, and I consider you my friend this
Yeah.
way, and I've looked at you and not known this about you as you don't know it about me, and
Yeah.
it's I thank you so much for being vulnerable and being so honest because people don't understand. You know, you said taking a shower and wanting to kill yourself. I clearly remember days like, I don't want to be here. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm happy. Let me get high. Oh, I'm sad. Let me get high. Not even thinking that you could die when you're doing that. So thank you for being so raw and courageous because truly, you know, knowing you and hearing this, you're extremely courageous and you're very brave and you're a great mom. And you're right. We don't, looking back, the lies that we tell ourselves are
Yeah.
detrimental to our mental health.
And so that's why it's called the challenge belief worksheet. So what I did, yes, I shut down all those suicidal thoughts that led me to wanting to kill myself. Okay. And I finally at 30, and I hope no one has to go through the depressive struggle, suicidal stuff that I had to for that many years. But finally, I replaced those bad beliefs with, and hey guys, let's just check reality right now. I'm a reality TV show person, but I wasn't checking my real reality.
Yep.
And the real reality was, oh my gosh, I got to plug my laptop in. The real reality was, I didn't have a good mom. And I am a damn good mom. The real reality is, I will have amazing relationships. I deserve so many relationships, and I keep going out there and I'm dating. And so for a reality check and real beliefs and real thoughts and what's really going on, I no longer feel that anymore. And I have a big freedom from suicidal thoughts. So
I'm
thank
so
you.
happy. That for me is to hear you say that, it's absolutely amazing because it's the core belief system. That's where it starts. Like if we don't, like for me, it was never good enough, never pretty enough. Let me tell you something. I look in the mirror, I'm damn pretty. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
it's the warped brain from, whether it was parental abuse or being bullied in school, you entering television at 16, having a child, losing your child's father, your parents are getting divorced, someone is trying to basically pimp you, excuse the term,
Yes.
but that's more or less what happened to you. So I can completely understand why the thought goes through your mind, and the person that doesn't understand the yous and me, they need to understand because they could have a child that's going through this with all that you've been through, because you've been through a whole lot, and remained in the public eye with all the ups and downs and all the tools you have today. Who is Farrah?
Who is Farrah? With all the tools I have today, I am the woman I always dreamed I would be. I am, again, full circle. My daughter is my age when all this kind of started happening, and I provide so much better than I ever had. And I was so stressed. I was so beat down thinking I couldn't ever be that as a teen mom from our society.
Right.
And I am that today. So I am the woman of my dreams. I am the woman who has saved me from all these things that life can get us as women. And also my daughter loves her mom. I am a lovable mom, and she only likes to talk to me. It's not her grandma, her grandpa, this or that. It's me.
Right.
And so, you are your own hero. And no matter literally everything that
literally.
I've been attacked by adult entertainment, networks, bad boyfriend, you name it, everything, legal matters. And I want to say, nothing can get you down when you just have yourself and you really focus on yourself, your higher power, the universe. And that's what I do to this day. So who is Farrah Abraham? She is just God whole, and God is first in my life.
Oh, I love that. God hole. That's amazing. So what if you had if your daughter was in your exact situation back then, what would be the advice you give her like today?
So yeah, I've already kind of had a talk with my daughter. Like if Sophia is ever
Yes.
in the position where she is having an unplanned pregnancy, I always just say, hey, for one, we're not going to blame, reject, and shame ourselves, because that's immediately kind of what my head went to. And I just want to say, like, still to this day, we don't have preventative care that is perfect, right? We're just
Right.
now coming out with Plan A shots for guys so they can get a non-surgical vasectomy, where we don't have Plan AAA shots for women to just shoot their tubes. So I just said, when we get to that in society, then maybe we could blame ourselves. But we're not even progressed as society for preventative birth control. Do not
Right.
ever blame yourself. But my daughter did see me almost die from birth control. And that's why I don't have any of that in my body anymore. So I don't make my daughter religiously take birth control to feel like she's a woman. She knows that you can die from it. She knows it affects your mental state, how you date. So I just would say, whatever your plan is, whatever you want to go through with, I support you, but I'm just a realist where we're at in our lives and what society can support women with. So I'm there to support my daughter.
And I love that about your relationship with her. Like every time I saw you, I saw her. You know what I mean? Unless it was like a nighttime event, your daughter was with you, and I love that about you. And I love you have your podcast. You have a podcast together, correct?
Yes, so fearlessly female. I thought of it because so many of us who do go through recovery centers, trauma programs, we always are like, oh my God, I would love to have this as a teenager. And so my daughter, when I came back from the trauma center, loved all these books, these apps, these meditations. And she was like, I would love to talk about 12 steps with you. So we're like, let's do it in a podcast, just a mom and daughter, and let's
Yes.
just talk through our days and stuff. So I think it's great. Get in the
I
habit.
I think it's amazing. You also mentioned something about 12-step dating that I
Oh,
found.
yes.
Like, I'm super interested in this because I definitely need those 12 steps in my dating life. So tell me a little bit about how that actually works, 12-step dating.
Yes. And you're kind of seeing it flow right now since I got out of a relationship. So I was taught by Lisa and Benjamin Shield. It's a 12-step course for dating. It's called Find the Guardian of Your Soul. And I think, there's many different kind of like self-improvement things that women can do. And they have gone through 12-step center recovery programs. So she put kind of 12-step principles into
Okay.
dating. They have 12 modules you'll go through. You get to talk to a therapist, your own. You have 2 coach calls with all the women who I love my alumni from there. So we always chat every day. And what I loved is, again, I got healing upon beliefs in my relationships that were not true.
Okay.
I also, like when you're kind of feeling like you're in a simulation or a guy's manipulating you or these things, they have like the left hand exercise that you do to slow it down. We also have a frenemy in our heads,
Oh, yeah,
right?
we
That can
do.
yeah. So they talk about all these things, and eventually you just get into the rhythm of like, this is who I am. Someone can meet me where I'm at. And basically, you'll see a lot of guys like I did, and that's why I moved on.
Right.
They're always jumping to kind of keep up with you, right? They always like kind of want what you have because you have this innate confidence now in dating. You don't look at dating as like, oh my God, dating's horrible. It's like, okay, that didn't work out. Next one. Because Benjamin and Lisa are like, time is so precious and valuable. Do not ever waste that crying, feeling bad, being stuck in like bad behaviors, because we have now taught ourselves to be in good behaviors. What are we grateful for next? So yeah, I just started getting on my matchmaker Zoom dates again, going
I
out on
love,
dates.
ah, I love
Yeah.
it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I actually, the very interesting question. So I want to just before we close out, and something
Yeah.
very informative for women. Um,
Yes.
you mentioned that you almost died from birth control.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
can you share a little bit about that before we close out? Because I think right now young girls, the pregnancy rate is really, really crazy high, but I don't want to go take a pill, So can you share a little bit about it, honey?
Yeah, so birth control, a lot of women my age, any age, everyone's either like, some people are getting their uteruses taken out right now. There's a lot of stuff, right? People have like brain aneurysms because of birth controls. So I had the implant in my arm, and I had it many of times in my arm, just so everyone knows.
Right.
The last time I ever had birth control, I had the implant on. Basically, I was getting so sick and like in pain and headaches. And I was going to a kinesiologist because my whole body was changing, like chronic body pain, some really crazy stuff like I've never witnessed in my life. And I was, I think I was 28 at the time. And so I went to go grab my daughter food, and I reached out to grab the food. I accidentally hit that arm on the bar of the car or something, and literally the pain shot right up to my head, and it was like literally I feel like I got hit in my head. So I just had my daughter come with me to emergency remove it at a hospital.
Wow.
And they said that a bunch of them were recalled, and OBGYNs were to stop putting those in women.
Wow.
So when I did get a hold of my OBGYN, she knew this. And so now I just no longer do birth control. Okay. And I've also, I have lots of friends who are winning lawsuits against birth control companies, against OBGYNs. A lot of women, if you're losing your fertility, losing all that stuff, you have a will and a way to win a lawsuit right now. So ladies, it affects your dating. It affects your family life. It affects a lot of things when we can't be a whole woman that we need to be and show up as. So yes. Do I think vasectomies? Yes. Do I think the shots, the Plan B shots or Plan A shots that men get now, non-surgical, need to be there? Yes. Do I think it needs to be preventative and when people are sexually active? Yes. If that means your kid is sexually active at 13, then they need it. Right. Because I don't believe in making young girls go through a lot of stuff. So like before I even graduated high school, a lot of my friends could never have kids again. And it's just because we were told if we're to be a responsible woman, then religiously we need to be on birth control. So lots of them end up gaining like 200 pounds, losing their fertility, having cancers, which I did have cervical cancer as soon as after I had my daughter. The first time I got cervical cancer at 17, and I'll never forget that. It was like, oh my gosh. So again, ladies, everybody, take care of yourselves, do preventative care non-hormonally and safely for you.
Yes. Well, like I said, it is Suicide Prevention Month, and I want to thank you for being so honest and so open. I absolutely adore you. You're blossoming like even more, like from when I first met you to now. You are a different woman, and I'm so proud of you and proud of Sophia. I hope you continue to, God will continue to shine on you. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Farrah, for coming today. And I can't wait to see you. I'll be in California in a few weeks, so maybe we're there at the same time.
Yes. Thank you so much, Renee. So much love to you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, honey. Thank you.
Keep shining.
Bye-bye.
Lots of love. Bye, everyone.
All right, everyone. This has been another episode of The Crisis Queen with my good friend, Farrah Abraham, who had a lot of great information to share. Make sure you tune in next week again, and I'll see you then. Mwah.
If you or someone you know is struggling with mental illness, don't wait. Call the Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-8255. For additional support, watch this video about a dedicated treatment center here to help you.
At Legacy Healing Center, we offer luxurious, world-class assistance for those dealing with addiction or mental health issues. With centers across the U.S., we help lay the new foundation for those getting their lives back on track. Each individual that walks through these doors receives a personalized approach, designed to build hope and create a long-term solution to lifelong problems. Legacy Healing Center is dedicated to providing the best care and path to success in life beyond addiction. Our facilities provide a safe, home-like environment where patients enjoy gourmet farm-to-table meals prepared by our in-house chef. Around-the-clock access to treatment, plus amenities like in-home movie theaters, personal training, hiking, massage therapy, sound baths, and so much more. The fight against addiction cannot be won alone, and the path to a better life begins at Legacy Healing Center. Don't let your legacy be defined by addiction. Find a new path at Legacy Healing Center. Visit legacyhealing.com or call 888-534-2295.